One of the most fascinating quarterbacks in the NFL right now, to me, is Baker Mayfield. I love a dude who gets written off.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
Yes, Gino, we know. But walks a mile through broken glass, Carolina, to triumph as the one guy who could actually follow in Tom Brady's footsteps. Baker Mayfield was the first overall pick in a draft class that included Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, won a playoff game for the Browns, which was a bigger miracle than being the first quarterback taken in an NFL draft, and then was tossed aside for a sexual predator, alleged. Left presumably to sell shower rings as earrings like John Candy before him, and then he used every train, plane, and automobile available as he played for 4 different head coaches in less than a 2-year window, lost a bunch of money because of bad family business, and began his resurrection story on Christmas, the day Jesus was born. And the day even Jesus got fed up with one Russell Wilson. Today, we're going balls deep into Baker Mayfield and his incredible comeback story. Balls deep! Baker Mayfield took a roundabout path to winning the Heisman at Oklahoma, beginning his college football career at Texas Tech, turning down a scholarship at schools like New Mexico and Wyoming. Gee, I wonder why. To walk on and play in the Power 5 in Lubbock, Texas. Now, Baker started a few games as a true freshman, eventually lost a job to current Broncos quarterback coach Davis Webb, and transferred to Oklahoma, where he got to play in 2015 after sitting out a year. For 3 seasons in Norman, Baker lost just 6 games, finally winning the Heisman in 2017 with over 4,600 yards, 43 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. Mayfield had posted an absurd passer rating of 203.8, which at that point beat out the previous record-setting performance by Russell Wilson in 2011. His yards per attempt had beaten out Mike Vick in '99, and he had become the first player to threaten to spank his opponent. At the beginning of the 2017 NFL season, there were 2 widely held assumptions about the upcoming draft. First, the Cleveland Browns would once again hold the number 1 overall pick. Second, the obvious first overall pick was USC quarterback Sam Darnold. Now fast forward to late April 2018, and that was no longer the case. Not the part about the Browns having the first pick. That was always true. Always going to be true. In fact, they didn't win a fucking game in 2017. But the part about Sam Darnold being the slam dunk first pick was no longer a foregone conclusion. While Darnold had regressed a little bit since his breakout season in 2016 at the ripe age of 13, Mayfield had taken a step forward. He was never the prototypical looking quarterback like Darnold or Josh Allen, short, but he always had more than enough arm, and the thing that set him apart from everyone else, his competitiveness. There was never any quit in old Baker. He didn't quit when he fell short in the college football playoffs multiple times. He didn't quit when they told him to stop jacking off on the sidelines, and he didn't quit when that cop said quit resisting.
I didn't quit anything.
No, you're just a dumbass who tried to run.
And outside of taking Flag Day a little too seriously, he was the perfect guy to get the Browns out of their massive, prolonged slump that had lasted most of the 21st century. GM Jim Dorsey selected Baker number 1 overall. Baker posed like Brett Favre, and he packed his bags for Cleveland, where he'd meet his new head coach, Hugh Jackson. Did you catch the part where I said the Browns didn't win a single game the previous season? Good, because I personally think the greatest achievement in NFL history was Hugh Jackson leading his team to 0 wins and keeping his job. He is sincerely my GOAT. Now, Mayfield made his NFL debut in Week 3 against the New York Jets, replacing the injured Tyrod Taylor in a game where the Browns trailed by 2 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football. As Justin Herbert would later learn, Taylor getting injured is a great omen for a rookie quarterback. Baker entered the game cold and completed 17 of 23 passes for 201 yards, leading the Browns to a shocking 21-17 victory, and most importantly, ending their 19-game winless streak. Mayfield became the first player since Fran Tarkenton in 1961 to come off the bench in his debut, throw for over 200 yards, and lead his team to its first win of the season. Now that's progressive.
Did you hear she's pulling her kids out of tennis?
Stop it again.
Now Mayfield helped the Browns finish the season with a 7-8-1 record, their best since 2007. He ended the season with 3,725 passing yards and set a new rookie record with 27 touchdown passes, surpassing both Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson. That's right, Peyton Manning set the rookie touchdown and rookie interception record in the same year. Everybody forgets about the touchdown part, don't they? You fucking Manning haters. Anyway, you'd think that resurrecting the Browns would make you a shoo-in for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I can't think of anything more impressive, but the award went to Giants running back Saquon Barkley. Baker Mayfield and the Browns became a trendy pick to make the playoffs just a year later. When asked how many quarterbacks he'd take over Baker heading into his second season, Jay Glazer said, "The order would likely go Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, and then Baker. I hold him that high on this list. I have that much faith that Baker Mayfield is going to be a perennial Pro Bowler for a long time." And true to his name, that was an all-time Glazing. But Glazer touched on something important. Cleveland football fans had something to be excited about for the first time in the 21st century. Baker didn't just play well as a rookie. He brought energy and life to the organization, which again was dead. They were so fucking dead, Cleveland. Churches in Cleveland should have been praying to Baker and not God. That's what he did for that town. And he did it with the coaching staff that was a bowl of shit that they tried to tell us was brownie mix. Baker led the team to 7 wins with Hugh Jackson getting fired mid-season, on my birthday actually. Crazy defensive coordinator, old Greg Williams, took over as interim coach.
It's time to drop your nuts.
Williams is coaching in the UFL now, to give you an idea of what Baker navigated his rookie season. Even with that, the expectations were rising, and after the Browns traded for OBJ in the offseason, they looked like a juggernaut waiting to take shape. Just needed to be molded a little bit. Cut to September, the Browns lost 43-13 to the Tennessee Titans in their season opener. And then it never really got better from there. The 2019 Cleveland Browns, despite high expectations, finished with a very disappointing 6-10 record. They failed to improve on their 7-8-1 finish from 2018 and didn't come close to breaking their franchise record and league-high 16-year playoff drought. It was their 12th consecutive losing season, setting another franchise record and maintaining the longest active losing streak in the league. Following that calamity, the Browns showed head coach Freddie Kitchens the door after just 1 year, and general manager John Dorsey also left his position. Kitchens had done a nice job with Baker as a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator when Todd Haley was also fired along with Hugh Jackson, but the simple truth is Freddie Kitchens was nowhere near ready to become a head coach in the National Football League.
The guy's an idiot.
I think John Dorsey was trying to keep some sort of continuity for a young, developing Baker Mayfield, but he didn't have the right man on his staff to do it. That season just ended up being a detour on what turned out to be Mayfield's best season as a Brown, and the Browns' best season since re-becoming the Browns all the way back in 1999. In the COVID season of 2020, Mayfield led the Browns, now under head coach Kevin Stefanski, to an 11-5 mark, and in the wild card round, Cleveland ambushed the Steelers and ran them off the field in the early going, holding on to win their first playoff game since 1994. A year before Mayfield was even born. A week later, he gave it his fucking all in Kansas City, but as we know, sometimes that's just not enough to beat the Chiefs. Despite the loss, Mayfield had a career season with 26 touchdowns to 8 picks. The Browns picked up his 5th-year option, and for once, the future looked bright in Cleveland.
I woke up feeling dangerous.
But early in the 2021 season, Baker Mayfield was playing with the partially torn labrum sustained during the Browns' Week 2 win over the Texans, continuing to play through the injury until re-aggravating it in Week 6 against the Cardinals, leading to his absence in Week 7 against the Broncos. His first missed game since becoming the starter in 2018. Running back Nick Chubb was also injured that game. Surely the Broncos won that one, right? Right? Mayfield's whole season ended up being marred by his injury, whether it was the labrum or a concussion, and God knows how many concussions he's either received or directly inflicted upon himself since being drafted in 2018. There's no way to know for sure. Here's what I'll never really understand though. Baker had 2 really nice seasons with the Browns and 1 season that was respectable considering the injury he was playing through, showing toughness. Cleveland finally hired a competent head coach in Stefanski, a man who has won Head Coach of the Year twice now. And instead of paying Baker Mayfield and building around their guy, they executed the ultimate dickhead trade in NFL history. They gave up all of their assets, all their guaranteed money, and all their dignity to welcome in the natural predator of the Houston area masseuse, Deshaun Watson.
Got a weird case, why is he around?
At least when Baker was whacking it in public, he was only pantomiming. Needless to say, Baker requested a trade after Watson was dealt there, and the Browns said, no problem, we'll even help you pack. Things were so dire for Mayfield that even his sponsorship partner, Progressive Insurance, declined Baker's pitch for a commercial where he moved out of Progressive Field in Cleveland. In July of 2022, Mayfield was traded to the Carolina Panthers for a 2024 conditional 5th-round draft pick where he competed with Sam Darnold for the starting position. He was named the Week 1 starter for the Panthers, which just happened to be a game against the Browns, where he threw for 235 yards, a touchdown, and an interception in a 26-24 loss. Eventually, after a rough start to the season and a benching in favor of Darnold in November, Baker requested and was granted his release from the Panthers in December. 1 day later, he was a Los Angeles Ram. With only 2 days to learn the playbook, Baker replaced John Wolford after the first series against the Raiders and led a 98-yard game-winning drive in the final 2 minutes, earning NFC Offensive Player of the Week. That was the longest game-winning touchdown drive in the final 2 minutes in the last 45 years at the time. Baker coming in and absorbing enough of Sean McVay's playbook to get a win and end a 6-game losing streak for the Rams was insanely impressive. After the game, Baker Mayfield said,
It's been a lot of emotions, to be honest with you. A lot of things that, some tough decisions. But everything happens for a reason. A lot of emotions, but I'm really, really blessed, and I'm really thankful right now. Especially just the guys here that welcome me in and help me, do the crash course here.
A week later, he threw his 100th career touchdown pass, and in Week 16, he led the Rams to a 51-14 victory over the Broncos, completing 24 of 28 passes for 230 yards and 2 fucking touchdowns. Holy shit, am I sick of seeing this game! I swear this game follows me around everywhere. I just want to strangle Patrick Starfish, but I'm not sure if he actually has a neck. But from Baker's perspective, this was him saving his career, and I respect that. The Rams were never keeping Baker because they had Matthew Stafford returning from injury, but Baker's value rebounded and he showed he could really perform with the right offense. And fortunately for him, there was a good offense in Florida that had a vacancy at the quarterback position. That's right, Tom Brady finally really actually seriously retired. Even with the success though in LA, Mayfield had to sign a 1-year contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a paltry $4 or $5 million, battling it out with Kyle Trask for the starting job. Yes, there was actually a period of time where we thought there was a chance Kyle Trask might be the Buccaneers' starting QB. That did not happen. In Week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings, Baker Mayfield got off to a rough start, going 3 for 11, but rebounded to finish the game 18 of 23 for 110 yards, including a crucial scramble for a first down, securing a 2017 victory on the road. In Week 2 against the Chicago Bears, Mayfield completed 26 of 34 for 317 and 1 touchdown in a 27-17 win, achieving a 76% completion rate, the best of his career for games with 33-plus passing attempts. It was also the first time in his career that Mayfield had started 2-0. Even Tom Brady didn't do that when he began his second career with the Buccaneers. Later in the season, against the Green Bay Packers, Mayfield posted a perfect passer rating, completing 22 of 28 passes for 381, 4 TDs, and a 34-20 win, becoming the first QB to achieve a perfect passer rating at Lambeau Field. Neither he nor the Bucs were perfect, but Baker was stringing together some nice accomplishments and performances. And he was then named NFC Offensive Player of the Week for that game in Lambeau, and it was probably the game that convinced the Packers to finally
Fire Joe Barry. Just fire him.
Which sounds like a backhanded compliment to Baker, but it's not. In Week 18 against the Panthers, Mayfield led the Buccaneers to a 9-0 victory, clinching the team's third straight NFC South title. Mayfield put up some of the best numbers of his career, was named a Pro Bowler, and was ready to cash in if he could keep it up in the playoffs. Winning the NFC South isn't all that impressive right now. The Falcons, Saints, and Bucs all squandered nice opportunities to take control of that division in 2023. But Baker proved that he could still play at a high level with a talented roster around him and a good play caller dishing him the plays. That was Dave Canales, who is now gone and head coaching in Carolina. I bring that up to remind everyone here that Baker had zero consistency from his coaching staff for his entire career, and that's usually a death knell for a rookie QB. Let me bang through this real quick for you, because I don't know if there's a quarterback who's ever played the game who could have survived this gauntlet of inconsistency. Baker's nickname should be the cockroach, because he can't kill him. 2018, as a rookie, head coach Hugh Jackson, later Greg Williams, offensive coordinator was Todd Haley, and then Freddie Kitchens. That's one season. 2019, head coach Freddie Kitchens, offensive coordinator Todd Monken. 2020, head coach Kevin Stefanski, OC Alex Van Pelt. 2021, head coach Stefanski, OC Alex Van Pelt. But that was the year Baker was injured. And somewhere in the mix there with the Browns, OBJ blamed Baker Mayfield for everything going wrong in Cleveland, and I think that somehow convinced Stefanski that that was true. 2022, head coach Matt Rule and offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo. Later that season, head coach Sean McVay. Nice. 2023, head coach Todd Bowles, OC Dave Canales. Now heading into 2024, he's getting Bowles again, but he's got Liam Cohen as his OC. Another change, but dear God, that's crazy. In the wild card round against the Eagles, Mayfield completed 22 of 36 passes for 337 yards and 3 TDs, leading the Buccaneers to a dominant 32-9 win over the defending NFC champions. A week later in Detroit, Mayfield completed 26 of 41 passes for 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. The second of which allowed the Lions to run out the clock and advance to the NFC title game in San Francisco. Baker's 2023 postseason really mirrored 2020, and now the question is whether he and his team can take that next step, or at the very least get back to where they got last season. Despite a tough ending, the Bucs had seriously outplayed expectations in 2023, and they were about to reward the guy who helped make that happen. On March 10th, Mayfield signed a 3-year contract extension with the Buccaneers worth up to $100 million with $50 million guaranteed. According to Baker's QB coach, Thad Lewis, the money has changed Baker, but not for the worse, Lewis said.
He has a contract so the guys know it's his team. He knows it's his team. He's confident and comfortable because he's been in this scheme before he came here, and it has some similarities. So he's not thinking. I think the chip on his shoulder can, not completely fall off, but, still he could be at ease a little bit, and I think that'll never go away because of, how he was brought up, and I think that's his motivating factor.
I think it has always been paramount for Baker to balance maturity and that competitive fire. And I think he's finally found a way to do it in Tampa Bay. There were times where he needed to grow up, and I think the roundabout trajectory of his career has humbled him and turned him into a better player and leader. You can hear it when he's interviewed. It almost reminds me a little bit of Spencer Rattler in terms of how his life and career changed at the college level. At no point were the Browns right to replace him with Deshaun Watson, but I think that move eventually put Baker in the right spot, especially for Joe Flacco's sake. Thanks for watching. That's Good Sports. Balls deep into Baker Mayfield. And if you go far enough into Baker, you find a nice little cake. And yeah, you can eat it too. Huh? What?
Guy's an idiot.